So, what nobody tells you about homesteading? Because often people just glorify the peaceful parts. The fresh eggs in the morning, quiet piece of land, gardens growing, being able to pick vegetables right off the vine. And honestly, those moments, they do exist, and that's why we do it. When we first got into this and moved onto the property, we had a lot of ideas of how our homestead would look like. We were excited, obviously, had all the plans, all the goals. But one thing that we didn't have, the experience. And that's something you quickly realize when you start grinding in this kind of life. Oh, I tell people all the time, our first year trying to garden, we lost 90% of our crops. About halfway through the 2023 season, we got hit with a massive rainstorm that flooded a good portion of our field. And in that one single event, pretty much wiped out almost everything we planted. That was a hard lesson and very, very discouraging. So you quickly learn and have a greater respect for nature that it can be cruel and unforgiving. But our strength was just not giving up. Next is something very important that people always don't really think about when they start getting into it, but they're going to find out quickly, and that's equipment. Right before you could even get planted in the garden, the land has to get prepared. Someone's got to plow it, someone's got to till it, and that usually means you need the right equipment. But it just doesn't stop there with the homesteading and the garden aspect. Like, once you have the land, maintaining it becomes a constant job. Like cutting grass, clearing brush, moving materials, fixing things around the property. Like, I came from the city. The biggest tools I owned was what, a push mower and a snow blower. Out here in the county, with about an acre of lawn to maintain, that quickly turned into needing a riding lawnmower right away. That was my first purchase. And the reality is, equipment becomes a big part of homesteading. Machines and tools just aren't conveniences anymore. They actually become a necessity for getting the work done. Myself, I like to call them my iron horses, because without them, you're not going to get much done efficiently. Using tools that you've never used before, building things you've never built before, solving problems you didn't ever know existed. And that leads to one of the biggest truths about homesteading. And that is, you really have to be a do-it-yourselfer kind of person. Because when things break or something needs to get built, there usually isn't someone coming to your aid here. You pretty much gotta have to figure that out on your own. Or at least, 90% of it. You learn how to fix things, you learn how to build things, you learn how to solve problems along the way. Myself, I literally had to become a two-stroke engine mechanic. And that's not by choice, that's because I had to. I had a chainsaw that had a carburetor all gummed up and fuel lines that were all brittle, and I pretty much had to take on that task to learn how to fix it myself. And that's with no prior knowledge to being a small engine mechanic. One of the biggest things is mindset. That's pretty much one of the biggest factors to kind of help you succeed in this kind of homesteading lifestyle. I can also say that pretty much with everything too, is the right mindset. Because maybe the biggest thing nobody tells you about homesteading is that the work never really ends. There's always something to do, for sure. Some project, something that needs to get repaired, improved upon, maybe something else to build. But with that being said, there's something incredibly rewarding about this kind of life. That deep, deep satisfaction that comes with learning new skills, problem solving, and building something with your own hands. Like in the beginning, I didn't even know how to drive an old tractor. I didn't know that the throttle was in the steering column. Well, most of them, right? I didn't know what a 3-point system was or how a PTO worked. Now it's all common knowledge or common language to me now. It's almost as if you have to be obsessed with learning and not afraid to go outside your comfort zone consistently. You begin to realize that starting Homestead is far from having everything figured out. It's about learning and adapting. Because the truth is, when it comes to homesteading, there's literally no instructions. And we're all just trying to figure it out as we go. So keep on watching my videos, like and subscribe, and I'm just gonna keep putting out more content on there on my journey with this homesteading life. Alright, see you guys in the next one.